The sun is shining right through there, so pretty. Hi, it's Steph, and tonight I'm in Seekonk, Massachusetts at a beautiful private garden designed by landscape designer Andrew Grossman. And he is going to walk us through his amazing gardens, and we're going to get a private tour of this space. I've done a preliminary walkthrough and I'm just in amazement of its beauty. So let's go ahead and Andrew will walk us around. So we're going to start here, Andrew. What part of your garden would you call this?
Okay, so I call this my cottage garden, and it has a color scheme that is basically everything but red and orange. So there's some yellow, pinks, purples, white, but it's basically soft colors. It's sort of what I consider to be welcoming colors.
It's beautiful.
And colors that really kind of flatter the house, which has natural wood shingles as a backdrop. Originally the house was clapboard, but because there was so much work involved with painting, I had it changed to shingles, which I also think is a really nice backdrop for the plantings.
It really is. You have lots of rose campion. This one's beautiful. I have the pink, but this one is white.
Yeah, so I had planted a bunch of that last year in this garden, and those are just a few that self-seeded, and volunteered
in this
area. And I really rely a lot on sort of the whimsy of volunteering plants. A lot of, like, for instance, I didn't plant this hollyhock here.
It is beautiful.
This just grew here. And actually, most years it doesn't make it because groundhogs usually destroy it.
Well, look at this year. It's going to have a great year.
But this year it looks like it's going to have a great year.
And it's so healthy and vigorous.
Yep, because this particular type of hollyhock really likes a gravelly, drier soil.
Oh, that's great.
So it's quite happy. Actually, a couple years ago, one also came up right here, and there was like a pair of them that just self-seeded. So we're going for asymmetry this year.
Oh, and your scabiosa, what a beautiful centerpiece here.
Yeah, you know what? I have never had any luck with this Bloomis scabiosa in the garden ever. And this year, very early on, I must have planted this almost 2 months ago. I stuffed 6 of them into this pot, and they have just been blooming like crazy. I'm really surprised.
For me, they do well. I've had them growing. They're short-lived perennial,
yeah,
but the pollinators love them, and they last for me until our first hot frost.
Oh, that's great, because in my garden, they never last. They just sort of wither away.
Well,
so I'm amazed that they do so well in the pot.
Hopefully this year they'll do well.
And this garden is in bloom, as most of my gardens are really in bloom from, well, this year it was end of February. I had hellebores blooming end of February, and then it was just non-stop until frost.
Do you have a lot of spring blooms?
Yeah, I have a ton of spring bulbs, daffodils, tulips, fritillaries, and then also some early spring blooming lychnis and things like that.
Wonderful.
So it really is colorful, really from March on.
What is this?
That's Ruella. It's called false petunia.
Oh, nice.
And it makes a blue, again, this self-seeded. I planted some and then it sort of self-seeded along the edges of the garden. It has a blue flower that doesn't really look like a petunia, but it's pretty hardy if the groundhogs don't get it.
Yeah, and it's got a fuzzy kind of texture. It's cool.
Yeah, with this honeysuckle.
Your honeysuckle smells nice.
Yeah.
So that makes up for the roses.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's so pretty. The sun is shining right through there, so pretty. So this is the Eden climber and honeysuckle. That makes a great combination.
Yeah.
I like when people do this, when they even combine like clematis.
Well, that's over there. I have a blue clematis with that rose.
With the rose. Oh yeah, you do, on that trellis there.
So I really try to do as many combinations as I can.
That way something's always in bloom.
Yes.
Andrew's telling me all about his beautiful tupelo tree. I asked him if he's limbed it up, and he says that it's just growing in this really beautiful shape that's creating like this whimsical kind of canopy.
Yeah, it's made a beautiful canopy, and actually when it was smaller years ago, when I would have parties, we would clear
Hang out
out the
under
bottom and put blankets down and pillows and make like a secret little hideaway under this tree.
That's perfect.
But the best time to see it is in the fall when it turns scarlet, and it's just a beautiful scarlet cone. It's really gorgeous.
So cool. So cool. And it makes such a beautiful sort of passageway from your cottage style garden over to your next garden.
Yeah, although originally, I mean, one thing it has done though is cast a huge amount of shade over here. This used to be full sun when this was smaller. I mean, at some point I'm going to have to limit back a little bit, but I do love it. It's a beautiful tree.
It is beautiful. And that is something that as gardeners we always have to contend with, right? As things change, as things grow, the light conditions in certain parts of our garden are going to change as well.
That's right. And and things that maybe did well aren't going to do as well, and things that maybe wouldn't have liked it will like it. So you're constantly, adapting and changing. So this is my hot colored garden, although I am playing with it more color-wise, so I sort of am thinking it more now as a jewel-toned garden. So it basically doesn't have pink or white or pale colors, and there's a lot of contrast going on from reds and oranges and yellows. So this is supposed to be a very kind of like energized space.
Well, it's gorgeous. This is an annual salvia, right?
That's an annual salvia called Roman Red.
Oh, it's pretty.
And it should really get a lot bigger and do that all summer long.
Gorgeous.
That's another euphorbia. That gets huge.
Oh, wow. Right in the back there.
Yeah, that is like yellow in the spring.
And then is that a monarda right there? A bee
No,
balm?
that is, that's a new helianthus.
Oh.
I'm blanking on the name. I literally.
Oh, I know which one it is. It's the yellow and red.
Red heart.
Yes.
Or gold heart or something. Yes.
I saw it at Sylvan last year for the first time.
I just bought that.
So pretty. And you have some nemesia here and some astioporum.
Yes.
So cool. That's a pretty color. And your geum is still going.
The geum is still
going. Mine just finished up.
But down the road, I'll take out some of the early spring stuff like the calendulas, and I'll just put in something else.
Yes. Do you like to grow from seed?
Yeah, I do. And since I have a small greenhouse now, I've grown a lot of stuff from seed, and it's really fun. It's some are more successful than others. That's a fuchsia.
Yeah. So pretty. I love the dark foliage. Anything that has a bright bloom with dark foliage, I love. Yeah,
I like that too. And I like the contrast of all the foliage, like the rusty coleus that's going to get quite big, and the colocasia that's going to get quite big.
Yes. I'm growing that coleus for the first time this year. The color blaze, Sedona sunset or something.
There's so many of them now.
Yeah. They're breeding coleus now to be able to withstand sun and shade, which is amazing.
That's right. So you can really plant them almost anywhere you want.
Now this is a sight.
So this is my checkerboard patio, and it's planted with thyme, it's called lemon thyme. It has sort of a chartreusey color. It smells really wonderfully.
Yes, it does.
It is a lot of maintenance though, because pretty soon I'm going to have to hand trim all of these squares. There's really no fast way to do it. But it's worth it because I love the effect, and I also really like how it joins two doors and a staircase that are not really lined up together. So that's one of the reasons I put this here. At the time I didn't have that addition, but I had this door and this staircase which aren't lined up, and I used the checkerboard to sort of blur that.
Yeah. That's great. That's a great use of the space. And it also creates sort of like a courtyard feel.
Yes.
Which is really nice.
And now we're going to step down here into my blue and white garden.
Oh, how fun.
Now this is the blue and white garden, which is kind of blue, white, violets. I try to keep purple. And it's having a little bit of a quiet period right now. It was very showy in the spring when the dogwoods and the azaleas were blooming in a couple more weeks, the white roses will come out and all the astilbe. So it's having, this is a little, it's a little green right now.
But look at all of this meadow rue that you have here. This is incredible.
Yeah, so all that just self-seeds. And at a certain point, I'll decide I have too much of it and I'll rip it out. I'll just rip it out.
That's what happens to all of us. So pretty. And your Annabelles?
Yeah, well, that's actually the improved one. That's incredible.
Yeah, incredible. That's good because they have a bit more sturdy stem.
And a little bit more sun tolerance.
True. And your phlox. This looks like the fashionably early crystal.
Yes, it is.
Oh, good. I have that one as well.
It is.
Your kitty.
And then this gets covered with roses, and there's clematis on here. This year I'm actually trying this white, you can't really see it, but this white thunbergia to see if it will climb up into things. I'm always trying to, like, you know, plant 3 things as opposed to just one to get the space to, like, really work hard. There's a funny story with these urns. So I actually honestly would never have bought these urns for myself, but I was doing a job at a 7 Stars bakery on Hope Street. I was doing their garden and I started chatting with an interior designer who was having coffee there. And then a few weeks later, he called me and said that he was moving back to California and he had these 2 urns, and if I could move them, I could have them. And
that was a job, I bet.
Right, it was. It took a lot of guys and some machine, but they really, and I split them up because 2 of them together is just too much here. But I think they're really fun.
They are. And your Campanella is going to be glorious.
Yeah, there's a ton of it self-seeded through there.
Gorgeous. Your hosta. Look at this. We cannot miss this gorgeous pond that you have as well. The sound of the frogs and the water.
Yeah, I really enjoy this pond. I mean, it is not an aquarium, so my water features tend to be much more in the European mode, which is, you know, the water's not crystal clear. It isn't necessarily about looking at fish.
Right.
It's more about the water plants. And these water lilies are grown in pots.
So beautiful.
But they're really doing well this year. And then the water is just on a recirculated pump.
Nice. Your boom chocolata geranium. I love this one because it has this dark foliage.
Yeah, the foliage is really beautiful.
Really beautiful. Your alliums. Do you have white and purple allium?
Yes, I do.
Oh, nice. I haven't tried white ones yet. I would like to, though.
Yeah, the white. I find the white ones are nice, but really the purple ones make a better show.
Yeah, yeah. Gorgeous. This is gorgeous. So pretty.
So now why don't we walk up and see all the David Austin roses?
Let's do it. Impressed by the size of the poppies here.
Yeah, so these poppies, a lot of times on the package, these are those peony poppies, somniferums. And a lot of times it says to plant them outside, to just scatter them. But I find that it's really hard to get good plants out of that. So I actually start them inside in flats, and then I transplant them to peat pots, which I plant in the ground, and I find I get a much
more vigorous
plant.
It's gorgeous. I can't wait until those bloom for you. They're going to be stunning. They're a dark color?
Yes, they're like a double, almost black.
So these are your David Austin roses?
So these are all David Austin roses. David Austin is an English rosarian, famous for hybridizing this very old style look of roses as opposed to the tea rose. These are what's called quartered or cabbage roses that open up. And I have to honestly say that they've never looked this good. And this bed has, in the spring, it has dwarf narcissus, then it has irises and poppies and the tea rose and the David Austin roses, and growing in these are dinner plate dahlias, which is really a great way to support them.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Literally by September, they'll be taller than this.
That'll be beautiful.
So why don't we go take a look at the swimming pool garden?
Yes, let's do that. These are beautiful. I love these obelisks. They make such a wonderful, like, statement walking down this. This is almost like a path with the roses.
Yeah,
It's
I like
gorgeous.
I like the structure that they provide even early in the season when there's nothing on them.
This is definitely the Queen of Sweden. Oh,
Yes.
smells so good, and they're so nice and upright. Beautiful. Your honeysuckle. These Eden roses on this arbor look stunning. And I was talking to Andrew about how I have a hard time with roses in general, but more so with climbing roses because it's really difficult to tie them up so that they can grow nicely. But he has a little trick that he shared with us, and it's that he uses electrical wire to sort of trellis these roses up the arbor because it's twisty and bendy. You can reuse it, and it's been working really well. And it also camouflages really nicely with the canes of the roses. You wouldn't even know that they were there.
Yeah, I was looking for something to tie up roses, and I just sort of stumbled upon this idea, and it really has made actually tying up almost anything so much easier because you don't have to tie a knot.
Right.
And when you're trying to tie something together and you have to tie a knot and there's thorns and everything else, this is so easy. You just do a quick twist and you're done.
Beautiful. That's wonderful.
So let's go look at the swimming pool garden.
Yes.
Okay, so this is our swimming pool garden, and this is actually the lowest maintenance garden on the property. It is actually very low maintenance. It's mostly flowering shrubs and shrub roses. Once I do all the trimming in the spring, it really just requires deadheading and mowing the lawn. I don't plant a lot of things in it. I do plant some things around the pool and I do the pots, but my goal is that it's one and done.
It is beautiful.
So I don't really play with it a lot. It's also easier because this is also a garden that's really just for June, July, August, and September. So it doesn't have spring bulbs. I don't really care that there's no color in the spring because we're not using it.
Yeah. Your roses are fabulous.
Yeah, they really are gorgeous this year. And
gorgeous.
A lot of that just has to do with the winter, I think.
Yes, we had a mild winter this year.
We had a really mild winter
really
because
did.
everything looks really good.
Your eye for design is spectacular. In this area, the way that you've repeated your plants with the grasses and with, is this boxwood or holly?
Boxwood.
And your grass here, or is this a carex?
This is a carex.
Yeah.
This is ice dance.
Potentilla?
Yep, Potentilla, spirea.
Gorgeous.
I will say that this is a garden that is very easy to recreate. And if I had any advice for any home gardener, it would be plant in big groups. Keep your overall plant selection to a minimum, which means not a lot of variety, but big groups of whatever variety you choose. And that's really the key to a beautiful garden.
It makes it more cohesive.
It makes it cohesive. When any one group is blooming, it's very showy. And you don't really, I mean, it's great having a lot of variety and it's really fun, but if you want to lower your maintenance, this is how you do it.
Right. And you have some, are these like iceberg roses?
No, those are drifts.
Drift
those
roses.
are white. And so it's all low maintenance. It's drift roses, nepeta, gaura. And
Nepeta, yep.
Yep. And actually this nepeta, this is Walker's Low.
Oh yeah.
But I actually cut it really hard about a month ago because otherwise it blooms too early for this garden. So I cut it down when it's about this big, and then it comes back in nice and full, and it blooms at the time that I want it to bloom.
So you did the famous Chelsea chop.
Yes, I'm a big fan of the Chelsea chop.
I like it too. Oh, your ferns. Are these the Kimberly ferns?
Yep.
They're more upright.
Yep, they're more upright. This is gardenia, Kimberly ferns, and more of the diplodenias, which, you know, super easy.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan. Huge fan of the diplodenias and the mandevilla. They're low maintenance, drought resistant.
They just really need the sun, but other than that, they're super easy.
So these roses, Andrew, the Queen Elizabeth?
Yes. This is actually a tea rose, surprisingly, because tea roses tend to be more fussy, but a rosarian recommended this to me, and I planted it last year, and this year it's just phenomenal.
It really is. And underplanted with this geranium, is this the Roseanne?
Yeah, that's the Roseanne geranium,
Gorgeous.
which kind of just hides the bottom and climbs up a little bit through them.
It's so beautiful.
Because honestly, once this flush of bloom is gone, these roses aren't going to be that showy. They will bloom again once I cut them back, but you know, this is
the
really
first flush. The June flush is the most
This is really the
impressive.
peak.
Yeah.
But we are using the pool now, so it's nice to have them here.
Oh, beautiful. And you have some ferns here, which look so pretty. Nice. This is a really great border plant, the fern.
Yeah, I just added that in actually because I felt like I wanted a little bit more edge on this bed. And then these are hydrangea trees. Those are Rose of Sharon trees. So there's a ton of stuff. Against the back fence is limelight hydrangeas and white Rose of Sharon.
Love the limelights.
You know, this garden really kicks in from now until end of September.
This is gorgeous. And your Gara,
Yeah.
I haven't had it come back for me reliably.
Oh, this didn't come back. I replaced it.
You replaced it.
The only places I know that can grow that reliably is if you have really sandy soil.
Well draining.
Well draining. It can't take any moisture sitting on it in the winter.
No. Oh my gosh.
I just have one more place I want to show you, the
Sure.
Lattice house.
Oh, the Lattice house. I can see it from here. Gorgeous.
Okay, so the Lattice house was built after we finished the swimming pool. There had been a wrought iron gazebo there, but I decided I wanted something a little bit more structural. And the thing that I really love about the Lattice house is the sort of surprise view you get when you open the door.
It is gorgeous. What a surprise. Look at this. So pretty. Do you sit here often?
I don't sit in the garden much.
No, I don't think any of us
Not
gardeners
unless, I only
sit
do
enough.
when people come.
Yeah.
When friends come over, I sit in the garden. Otherwise, I almost never do.
Right. That is a problem with us gardeners, isn't it? We are just gluttons for work. We see a weed, we pull it here, we pull it there, and before we know it, you know, it's time to go in for the night. But your bamboo has gotten pretty vigorous.
Yeah. Yeah, this bamboo is crazy. It is a clumping variety, so it's not running, but it's very happy, and it's certainly gotten bigger than I thought it would. But I love it. So
I think it's pretty.
I think it softens the side of the Lattice house, which is this structure is extremely tall for an outside structure, and I did that on purpose because of all of the stuff that's growing around it. I really wanted it to be a focal point.
It really is. And it's gorgeous. And I like how it's this part of your property seems to be a bit higher.
It is.
So
it's the highest part of the property.
Yeah. So it really just makes a statement in this side. And the view from the front, which we'll look at, gorgeous. So this is a man-made pond.
So I made this pond. Again, this was sort of a little challenge to myself to see if I could make a pond that looked natural. And I think I've been pretty successful.
I would say.
In the spring, there's wisterias that bloom on either side. The water lilies bloom, and then there's just a variety of plants that like wet soil that bloom in it, you know, kind of throughout the season.
Your yellow iris really pop here.
Yeah, that's just the yellow flag iris, and it really likes it wet. And that's Ligularia that self-seeds.
So does this bloom yellow?
Yes, this blooms yellow in the fall, and this is one of those big hibiscus. Usually the yellow Ligularia is blooming at the same time as this is a big white with sort of a pink center.
So nice.
Perennial hibiscus.
I'm a fan of the perennial hibiscus.
Yeah, I love them too, and they've done so much breeding with them lately.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the range in color and size and form is really unbeatable.
And they're great with wet soils.
Yes, they like it wet.
Yeah. Do you have any, are there any design trends that you're seeing that are changing or that have evolved over the years?
Well, I mean, I think color scheming has really changed a lot. I can remember, in the 90s, it was all about pastel colors.
Oh, yeah.
It was all about pinks and whites and silvers and pale blues. And now people are really embracing brighter colors, hot colors. So many of the annuals that had fallen out of favor for a long time, marigolds, zinnias, cannas, dahlias,
Oh, yeah.
are now really back in fashion, and people are just growing them like crazy.
So Andrew, how long have you been a landscape designer?
Well, I started my landscape design business officially in 1993, but I have always done gardening work. Even when I was a professional dancer, I did gardening work and also worked as a floral designer. So I've kind of always had my hand in it. But when I retired from dancing, I just segued into the design work.
Wonderful. And do you open up your garden for tours?
Yes, my garden is often open for tours. Often garden clubs will contact me about arranging a tour, private groups, whatever. It's easy to just get in touch with me by going to my website.
Which we will list. I will list Andrew's website down in the description of the video as well as in the pinned comment. And if you're part of the Garden Conservancy.
Yes, so I will be opening this garden on this year, September 15th, I believe, as part of the Garden Conservancy's Open Days program.
Which is wonderful. You get to tour different gardens. So if you are interested in doing garden tours, to go to attend different garden tours, that's a good website to check out as well that I'll leave below. So Andrew, I want to thank you so much for showing your beautiful garden to us this evening. I've had a wonderful time talking through the garden with you and just looking at all of these beautiful spaces that you've created.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming. It's been wonderful sharing it with you on such a beautiful June night.
It really is
and
gorgeous
hopefully next I'll be coming to visit you at your garden.
Yes, I would love that very much.
Okay.
So thank you so much everyone for spending your time with us, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button, and please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos, and we'll see you soon.